I finally got Joe's block out of the evaporust. Remember when I told you that I added 7 or 8 gallons to it to cover the block because, some had evaporated? Well, I thought that would kind of strengthen it a little bit and make it work better, but what happened was the top half of the block came out beautiful gray cast iron, and the back half has got a brown tint to it, very unattractive. But I called Joe, and he said he's got some etching stuff that maybe it'll help whatever it needs, so we're going to go with it. So now we're going to hone it. But it's not going to be a normal hone job because, normally you bore it and leave 5 thousandths left to hone out, and you hone it out, and you try to keep it round and straight and get the right finish you want on it and perfect size and all of that. But we don't have that luxury. Some of these holes are already a little too big anyway, so we're just going to try to do the best we can with what we've got. So instead of trying to, our main goal, we don't have enough meat to do some things that we would like to do, but we're just going to try to put a good surface finish on it without removing hardly any metal. So we're going to make a few strokes and get it looking good and put the plateau on it and run it. So I think it's going to turn out wonderful. Everything should be fine. It's just not like normal where you're trying to hit size perfect. We can't hit size because most of them are already a little too big. So we don't have to worry about size. We don't have to worry about all the normal things that you worry about when you're honing a block. We're just going to try to get a good surface finish, and hopefully it'll live a long time. So I'll go get the head gasket and torque plate and get it all torqued down and everything, and then we'll see where we're at. And we'll do a before and after of the torque plate, see how that affects things, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, I've got the head gasket on, the torque plate on. Joe's going to be using factory head bolts, so I've used factory head bolts. But I haven't torqued it down yet because we want to know how much it's going to distort. We should get less distortion using the factory head bolts because you only torque these to 70, and the ARPs are, well, I forgot, but I think you torque them to 80, plus you're using the moly lube, plus you're using fine threads, so I think you get a whole lot stronger pull on the block, which is your distortion. So let's see if all of that works out. We're going to measure these two, and because these aren't too far off. So they are about 2/10 too big right now. So let's torque it down and see how much we change. Okay, that's 70 foot-pounds with engine oil for lube, which is what the book calls for. Wow. Never would have thought it would have been that much. Yeah, that one wasn't as much. So that's 8/10 there. And this one is more like 6/10. Wow. I would have thought less, but I would have been wrong. Well, that first one's not exactly straight, but we got to do what we got to do. I don't want to keep removing material It's going to be a little loose, but I don't think anybody's going to know it. And besides that, and it's not like he's going to drive this thing, it's just his toy. I really think I ought to I ought to put the plateau on it. I'm going to give it 6 strokes with the finishing, and then we'll see what the profilometer says. Just to make sure that we're somewhat happy, or as happy as we can get, before we go ahead and do all the rest of the cylinders. We want to figure out now where we want to be. These two were fairly close to, we had more meat to play with here, so that's why I thought we would play here. And I think I'll do the plateau and let's see where we're at. Now these numbers may not be pretty, so don't throw up. We just didn't have much to work with. I don't know what to expect. I expect it's going to be, you know, too smooth or too something or too not enough RVK, you know. But we'll see. RK72, that's... You serious? Wow. RPK, RVK, that's... We won't have that. I'm going to have to give it more strokes to get that RK down. We're going to lose RVK when we do that. RA26. Well, it needs more strokes. I'm kind of wondering, I hate to just give it another 6 strokes. I kind of want to start on a fresh hole. Just because. I don't know. Okay, I went to a new hole, so this way I think we'll get truer readings. Well, that's too high. That's too high. That's too high. And that's too high. Wow. We're way off. We'll have to try something else. I never expected these numbers to be pretty, but I didn't expect them to be this bad either. Okay, I'm hoping for something good here. RVK 44. I'm happy. I didn't expect to get 50. RA 13. Everybody's happy with that. RK 41. Higher than I wanted, but we're going to live with it. Okay, so now we have a plan. That was 12 strokes with the finishing stones. So I went to size at 220, size meaning as soon as made a few strokes, clean it up, and 12 strokes with the 600 grit finishing stones with light pressure. So we're happy. Now I'm going to redress these cylinders and get those numbers down. But now this plan we can take to the other side and come up with good cylinders. I hope that does it, but it's really hard hitting 5 numbers at the same time when a Mopar doesn't give you but 5/10. You've got to hone all of those and land them all in 5/10. I mean, you would think it wouldn't be so hard, but it's not easy. We'll see. I'll get the dial bore gauge and see if it's good news. Okay, let's see what the dial bore gauge says. Now 0 is over here, and that's set at the high spec. So number 5 is, looks like it's a little tight. 2/10 tight. Tighter than a tight spec. That number 4 is pretty much dead on to a 1/10. Number 3 is right in the middle of the Mopar range, 2/10 tighter than I aim for, which I'm never going to hit what I'm aiming, not on all 5. That one is maybe 1/10 under the high spec. Then again, it may be 0/10. That may be dead on. Number 1's dead on. So we got 1's within a 1/10, 2's within a 1/10, 3 is about the middle of the Mopar range, or 2/10, probably 2/10 under the high range. This is as good as you're going to get out of me, folks. 1/10 under the high spec. This is the only one that looks raggedy, but I'll get over that. That's 2 or 3/10 under the minimum spec. I'm 2 or 3/10 off, and the rest of them are just about perfect. So that's as good as you're ever going to get out of me. I hope you enjoyed that, because I'm never going to do any better.